how's it going, guys? Welcome to Audio Addiction. We have Off Road Minivan with us, and he can say his name and what he does in the band.
Hello, I am Tuck and I sing in the band. It is a pleasure to be here. Thanks for having me, man.
No problem, Tuck. He is a returning member of the Audio Addiction fam, so I obviously had to get him
Oh,
on for something
yeah.
else. But I guess my question to you is because this is what I don't know if I talked about in the review. But I'm curious, like, how Off-Road Minivan started. Was this something that you had thought of prior to being, because everybody knows you in like Fit for a King, so I'm curious if this was like something that you've been like your baby that you've been working on for a while, or was it like, okay, I joined Fit for a King, now I want to do like what I want to do, which is off-road movie.
Yeah, it's a little bit of both. So,
Okay.
I got comfortable and fit, and after a few years, I was home and I ended up, talking to my buddies Melvin and Evan who are in off-road, and we decided to jam. And night one of the jam, we wrote Spiral Gaze.
Oh, awesome.
And then Melvin, he's really good at recording. He's done the guitar and bass for both of our EP and our record. So
Hmm.
he records the demo, we end up making it, whatever. And I showed it to the label, and they were just like, oh, this is cool. Like, what do you want to do? And I was like, well, can I put out an EP and make a video? And they're like, yeah, sure, whatever. And I was like, oh, that's cool. Like, that's the easiest thing that's ever happened in my life. I didn't know my band could get signed in 40 minutes. So it was just like a fun, like, passion project to do, where I personally listen to this style of music more. I'm more comfortable singing it. That's
Yeah.
why I'm the one that does the softer, like, more feminine parts and Fit for a King. And so it really is just a passion project where we don't get to play as much, but I'd love to get out as much as possible. So, these are all my buddies that I grew up with. I've been in, like, Dave, who plays bass, this is my third band with him.
Oh, wow.
Melvin and I have been in two bands together. Miles and I have been in two bands together. Like, Miles and Dave, we were in our first band together when we were 14 and 13. And now I'm 31. So it's like come full circle, you know what I mean? And it's just one of those things where we've been very blessed to be able to put stuff out in another format, even though we're like a local band,
Yeah,
so it's
absolutely.
cool.
I do feel like, and I'm glad you mentioned it because I didn't want to be the one who mentioned it, but I felt like what I elaborated in the review was just like, I felt like your voice just fits so much better with this music. Like, not to say I don't love you in Fit for a King, I love you in Fit for a King as
No,
well,
it's true.
but it's just like something about it just spoke to me a little bit more. Like when I like listen to Fit songs, I'm like, he does these soft songs like super well, and then like like with the newest record, I was just like, okay, I was like, I hope he's not like taking a backseat to singing all together. But I was just like, there isn't as much of him, which I don't know how much of behind the scenes stuff goes beyond that. But then I was like, he's in this
Yeah.
other band that he's doing. Let me check that out. And I checked out the first EP, and I was like, oh my god, I'm like, this works. Just I don't know, something about
Yeah.
it just speaks to me a little bit more.
The fit decision was like as a group where,
Hmm.
there's some choruses that have been successful that I've sung, like the Shadows and Echoes and
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah,
But
yeah.
overall, if I do something like Death Grip or When Everything Means Nothing, those have been some of the most popular songs we've ever had. And Kirby is our lead singer.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
it's weird to not have your lead singer sing the chorus. So we, as a band, like, we're trying to be like a heavier, more metal band, and I don't sound metal. I'm not like I look kind
You
of like
do, yeah.
I look like a metal human femme, but I don't sing that way. I don't really want to. Like, I wanted to sound like Haley Williams. I didn't want to sound like Avenged Sevenfold. You know what I mean?
I feel
I
that.
wanted to sound like Anthony Green. I wanted like, Manchester Orchestra, bands like that. And there are times where, like, even I'm getting more used to it. Where in Fit for a King, there will be stuff that I write. I just don't sing it,
Yeah.
because Kirby is supposed to. But that's why I made this, and it was just a way for me to get some things off my chest that I couldn't in any other way. Because otherwise, these songs, I write them anyway. Like, they're just
Yeah.
going to sit here. And now I've got, like, a bunch of guys who are all really talented songwriters. So by the time the 2 years has passed, you've heard 40 demos and you can really put together something that you like. Um, so it's a fun experience, man. I just like being busy. I don't really like to
I
do
feel
nothing.
that. Yeah, I mean,
Um,
like you have the podcast, which you could talk about a little bit, because
yeah,
I gotta give the plug to it, because I listen to it, and it is phenomenal. It's really
thank you.
good. It's not because you're on here and I have to tell the people about it, but it's legitimately like, if I like didn't know you, I'd be like, this is tight. Like, you're a good interviewer, so I felt like, interviewer to interviewer, I have to give you the props.
Thank you. Dude, I'm the Joe Rogan of metalcore. I'm coming to take this motherfucker over. And it's I've talked about it for like a year. So for those listening, I have a podcast. It's called Get Tucked, and you can listen to it everywhere. But I had talked about it for like a year, and I discussed it with Fit for a King for doing it
Hmm.
with our new album, and it was going to be Fit for a Podcast. And I was like, but you know what? If I do Fit for a Podcast, people are going to assume that it's going to stay a certain way, just like the
Yeah,
music does, where we don't
yeah,
cuss in the music and all that stuff. But I am not like that. So
yeah.
I want to have my own show where I can do whatever the fuck I want, whenever I want. And the guys are really supportive and they're really kind to me and let me be myself. And the fans have been great too. I haven't had anybody message me and be like, "Oh my gosh, I didn't expect you to talk." The show is called Get Tucked. Go fuck
That's true.
yourself.
Yeah.
That's the whole point. So everyone's been really, really nice, and I just love getting to talk to my friends. I'm bored, and I want to talk to my friends because I miss them so much.
I feel
So if
that.
I get to harass, Ryan Kirby for an hour and a half, then it's like great, cool, because usually like he's busy. So
You get to harass him for an hour and a half, and then it's recorded and it's on the internet for everybody to listen
yeah,
to.
it's fun. I like it, and it's getting looser. Like, oh my gosh, this week I talked to Steve from Chelsea Grin, and
Ooh.
we're buds, like we really let loose on this one, and I had half of a cider, so you can tell I got like really
You got
fucking
a
crazy,
little extra. I
little
got you.
lit, bro. No, I'm just having a great time with it, and yeah, it's just something to work on where it's like, if I got to put 2 days into this, and then I put some time into my writing, and I can make demos, and just keep moving,
Keep
keep it
chugging.
going, because you never know when people are going to stop giving a shit about you. So,
I've
you know,
listen. You're talking into the workhorse of YouTube here, so I
dude,
feel that. I feel that. But go check it out, guys. I'll leave a link to that below, along with Off Road Minivan, of course, because
thank you.
I gotta give love to the interviewer support. Like, I feel like
Dude, absolutely.
there's people that do like band stuff, and then whenever they jump into the podcast realm, I was like, you boys got to talk about it, just in the littlest bit, but
Oh
just so
yeah,
people get a
dude.
little
Well, I'll,
idea.
I'll give you a plug or two in my show as well.
Oh,
I
thank you.
love talking about other podcasts on the show. I was better about it when I first started. Now I've just been fixating on the bands that I keep putting on it, because it's just so much fun. Like having like local submissions and actually
Yeah.
listening through. Like, okay, this week I just put Hollow Front on because I wanted to, because the song is great and like Kirby manages their band.
Yep.
And the week before that, Left to Suffer, another friend of mine manages
Yep.
that band, but I also really like them. But some of these submissions are just completely at random, and I listen through and I'm just like, oh, this sucks, this sucks. Oh, wow, this is great.
Add it to
Like
the
there's one,
podcast.
yeah, there's this band Gassed Up from the UK that I put on one week, and I legitimately had to like stop. I like went to my fiance and I was like, "Am I crazy or is this like really fucking sick?" Because it's like rap over heavy shit, but the chorus makes me want to murder somebody. Like if I had to do a bare knuckle boxing fight or something, I'm putting that on and I'm just getting hyped. But enough about my podcast, because my band is more important than my podcast, right?
I gotta
Yeah.
give it equal love. I gotta give it equal love. We
No,
equal
I
opportunity
appreciate it.
lover here, so
Absolutely.
gotta give the love where it can be given. But
Yo, it's like I'm entrepreneur,
yeah,
man. I'm like
yeah,
doing it all,
I
man.
just do this.
Multifaceted.
I do the YouTube. I do the
You could catch me
podcast.
dancing on TikTok,
Yeah.
like shit. No, that's
I'm on
next.
Twitch. I'll be streaming all day today. You can check that out. Like, I got you.
See, that's the one thing
Always
I can't
grinding.
do. My dad, when I was growing up, so my dad loves video games, so he would get like every system and stuff. And he just beat the shit out of me virtually. So I'm not good at video games. I don't have the patience for them because he was so talented and I was not. So that's
Well,
it.
I have a question for your dad later on that you're gonna have to answer. So I'm very excited to
Okay,
get that question in. But you know, like I
you
said,
got it.
gotta give the equal opportunity. You gotta talk about all the facets of Tuck. So that's the whole reason you're
Yes.
on here. But you kind of alluded to my other question, which is like who influenced you? I know I had asked you that the last time, but like who influences Off-Road Minivan? Like what are some of the bands that you feel like if somebody was to check out your music and didn't know about your band, were like these are like, influential bands that I feel like would represent Off-Road Minivan.
Sure. Like Thrice, Jimmy World, Anberlin, Armor for Sleep. Anyone that likes that era of like emo post-hardcore, I think resonates with our band, and that's been the nice part. So many people were so stoked on emo nights for
Yeah.
so long and stuff. Well, now they're like, oh my gosh, there's a band that actually sounds like this that isn't 20 years old. Um,
True.
so that's been a sweet relief for us. But Manchester Orchestra, that whole spectrum of stuff. I think the softer side is definitely a little more Manchester, and the
Hmm.
heavier side is a little more Thrice. So we kind of find ourselves in the middle there.
Yeah, there's kind of a little bit of like classic, what I call classic emo in there. So
100 billion percent. It's because I'm
100 billion%.
old.
You were. You are
Yeah,
definitely
I
you're
grew
definitely
up
about
doing
it.
that shit. Yeah, I paved the way for that shit, man. I wore girl pants when they didn't even make straight leg pants, bro. And I was the only one in my grade doing it. So it was, it's great that it came back because it really is my favorite thing. Some of my best memories are like being young and like doing work in my backyard and listening to Thursday or
Yeah.
like, like, man, I remember I have this one distinct memory of like going to get on the school bus and just listening to the song War all the time on repeat. And, this is like post 9/11 and all that kind of stuff. And you're just, that's when music really started to hit me and
Hmm.
resonate with me. And I was like, wow, this is really cool. And I had been in, a band or two, but I wasn't really learning how to write sincere lyrics.
Hmm.
Um, and that's listening to bands like that, or even most recently, gosh, my biggest influence the last couple of years is Manchester Orchestra, A Black Mile to the Surface. What a brilliant record. You can picture everything as you listen to the songs. Like if you listen to the song The Grocery, you see that character, you see
Yeah.
this happening, you watch the heist, the whole moment, and it's just such a spectacular thing. So it's not something. A lot of the stuff that I write about in off-road, I just couldn't do in my other projects. So it's all fixated primarily around characters from where we grew up in the Hudson Valley in New
Oh,
York, and a
nice.
lot of the stories are um, like kind of true. Like It's Harder to Make It is about Hudson, New York. Swan Dive is about a friend of mine. Keepsake was about a guy I went to high school with. Taconic is about death that happened in the 90s. Supernova is about myself. Like a lot of it's pretty personal. And then at the end, it's a commercial for Boeing because I want them to pick that song up and give me some money. Um, wouldn't that be so great if
That would be
Boeing had
great.
a,
Wouldn't
and
that be
and then at
great,
the end of the
Boeing?
commercial just goes, "Hey, I'm sorry. We're we're sorry." That'd be so great.
There
For
we
those
go.
listening, I wrote a song about the Boeing 737 plane crashes, and it's really cute. You should go listen to it.
It's very cute. Can recommend for sure. I could recommend the entire record if I'm gonna be,
Thank you.
if I'm gonna be 100% honest. I feel like it did it struck like that nostalgia bone in my body. Like I remember growing up in kind of, obviously I'm 27, so I'm a little bit younger, but I feel like my musical, like growing up, like a lot of those emo bands resonate with me. When you had said
Yeah.
like Thrice and stuff, I was just like yeah, that's what I was thinking of. Like when I was listening to this record, I was like, it's like classic Thrice. There's like a little bit of like old school like Seosin in there. There's
Oh,
some Armor
for
for
sure.
Sleep. Like there's just like that
And
mix that I'm
even,
like, oh shit, like this is what my jam, this is my home.
well, John that mixed the record, he did Brand New Your Favorite Weapon. He did the first My Chemical Romance record. He did the Armor for Sleep demos. He did Just Surrender. He did The Audition.
Yeah, yeah.
He's a friend of mine from New York, and he did all of those classic records. So it only made sense if you're like, well, I want this to sound like this. Well, then go to the fucking source.
The person,
and,
yeah.
And it, and it just so happens that he was only an hour away. So it really worked out great for us. And, I think even, for the kids that like just 30 Seconds to Mars and My Chemical Romance, like there's some songs for them as well in there. So it's nice. It's, part mainstream, part underground. It's fun. It's all over the place. There's not just like, oh, this is a rock band and there's the same song 10 times. It's a bit all over the place, but I think it ebbs and flows well.
Oh yeah, 100%. Like I said, you can watch my ever-long review of it, and I literally go through every song off the record. So you can decipher for yourself which one you love the most. But I feel like I made it pretty evident on the songs that I liked. But I don't want to spoil anything because gotta.
Which is your favorite?
My favorite. Oh man. It's got to be the second to last track. Every time.
Yeah, Carousel Blues.
Carousel Blues. That last minute section is just it's still like I'm thinking about it right now and getting that memory of it. Oh my god, that's so good.
It's a fun breakdown.
Yes, that's I'm like whenever shows come back, I'd be excited to see that and just see it rip.
Dude, it's so funny because when we wrote that song, I wrote the primary riff, and then I wrote the chorus, and we were like making the song, and then I was like, all right, guys, like we need a breakdown at the end, and I wanted like a brand new Jesus Christ breakdown.
Ooh,
and then they sent it back to me, and I was like, when the fuck did our band turn into Meshuggah? Like, what is this? And they were just like, well, like, it's cool, like, this is super cool. And I was like, oh, I don't know, guys. Like this. And then it took me a minute, and I swear for the first, month, I was like, I don't know if this is right.
No,
and
right.
Now I'm, because everyone else is just like, yeah, this is so cool. And I'm like, yeah, you guys are totally right. And you're the only person that I'll tell that I was like, at first, this is bad. Because I was so wrong. And it's really fun. It's like all of a sudden we have this like cool, weird, almost genty type breakdown. But that's where you really see the full spectrum of the influence for these guys, because the drummer and Melvin, the rhythm guitarist who does a lot of the like darker writing.
Yeah.
That's what they love and they'll play like Meshuggah at band practice. So it's cool to see that, sometimes you just got to let people be themselves. And that was a good lesson for me with this record where I've just been burping on my podcast, so I'm going to burp on your podcast.
I burp on mine too, so.
Yeah. Sometimes you get caught up in like cookie cutter ideas and you have something stuck in your head, and that's a moment where I wanted to go more cookie cutter, and they were like, no, we're going to be ourselves. And it worked out, and it was a really great move. So I can't wait to like dip into that more in the future and kind of not necessarily have more of those moments, because for our thing was just on the EP, it ended with a breakdown. This was going to end with a breakdown. And then it was going to be like a minute of silence, and then it was going to go to 737. But in reality, no one actually listens to CDs anymore. So it wouldn't work. Yeah,
that hurts.
And that was
that hurt me what you just said about the CDs. Ooh, that I don't know. I understand. I get it. That could be a whole nother topic for another day. But I also enjoy 737 too. If I'm gonna be honest, like if it was like one long song and just kind of like ended with 737. I mean, obviously it does. But if it was just like one song collectively, I would love it. I mean, I still love it as two separate pieces, but like it just works. It was just something really nice about like how it's like real, like just like bedroom like recording kind of thing. That's what I appreciated most, because it just felt like genuine. Like it was just like it was just like my friend was like recording me, and it just happened to be there. The mic was on in the room, and like I just played the guitar and I was like singing, and like it wasn't like planned or anything. And whether or not you can speak on that or not is
well, it sounds like that because I'm bad at guitar.
Nah, you're good at guitar. Come on.
No, I'm really like like, I've watched a lot of people track. I've seen a lot of guitar players. When it comes to the spectrum of a guitar player, I'm not very good. And I wanted it to sound that way, and I wanted it to have that. I wanted it to sound like you were listening through the talkback of the studio,
Yeah, yeah.
and it was distant and far. And this was just kind of a happy medium between the way I recorded it with him and that, because it was just one take. It's just
wow. Okay.
me playing guitar and singing at the same time once. That's it. So that's why it's raw and it's not perfect and everything. But that's just what I wanted. Like, there's the end. I forget which brand. I think it's on Deja Entendu. But
Yeah.
when he plays Play Crack the Sky,
Yeah.
and then at the end of Play Crack the Sky, you hear him walk. He closes the door, and as he's closing the door, he goes, "Any other way."
Yeah.
That's what I wanted. I wanted that moment where it was like, oh, this is so real. This is not just, some guy. Because everything is so cookie cutter now, and like, I got to make it quantized into the grid and blah, blah. That's when I'll be like, no, screw you. If I'm just going to play my song, and that's it.
Get tucked.
So.
That's the product placement. Product placement. But yeah,
Absolutely.
no, I do. Like, that was what I loved the most about it. I just felt like the whole record itself just felt like really endearing. Like, it was like, whether it was purposeful or not, it was like every song on the record just felt like it was like, just like, I don't know, it just had this like home like warmth to it that I feel like a lot of bands kind of like aspire to get to, but maybe like, they get real close, but they don't like land it. I feel like you guys landed it with the record.
Thank you. That's really nice of you to say. And like, it's a hard, that's one of those. It's an interesting thing to talk about, just because I think there's a lot of people who are maybe trying to sound like a emo band, and they're sounding to their more modern emo influences, where we're not doing it for the sake of doing it. This is just how we make songs because we lived in that era. So it's a little bit different, and I think just the way that maybe, I don't know, I give a lot of it to John. Like, John's mix, it really, really hits that like early Senses Fail, early like that early era of emo, and you wanted that sound and you wanted that thing, and I just don't think it would sound the same with anybody else. So dude smashed it.
Yeah,
like, I'm super thankful.
John, you did a great job. If you watch this, two thumbs up, from your boy here. But you asked me the question, so now I'm going to ask you the question. What's your favorite one, or one that, if for no new people watching this and like just found out about Off Road Minivan, what would be one song you'd recommend to them to listen to?
The one I'd tell them to listen to is Vampire, because I think it's that's song.
Second. That's number 2 for me.
Yeah. A song I really love. I can't wait to put the video out because it's probably my favorite thing I've ever done. I think that's the song I'd tell people to listen to, because for me, that was the song where I had to really beat Spiral Gaze. And
I feel like
I had to. And I wanted Spiral Gaze on the record, so I was like, well, I can't have it be my best song 2 records in a row. And this was that. When I was done, I was like, you know what? AFI would fuck with this. 30 Seconds to Mars would fuck. Like, this reminded me of exactly what I wanted. It had the lyrics I wanted. It had the type of melody. Everything. Just Vampire is, I think, our most well-written song, and it's definitely up there for my favorite, but I think my favorite is Supernova, just because it's so personal, and it's really therapeutic for me, as a human, not just as like an artist or a songwriter or whatever. Like, I have a temper, and I have something that I have to work on with my life, and have been for a long time, and that has helped a lot. And really, the last couple of years of getting to do this project and do stuff like that, I've seen a difference in myself, and it's been really nice. And I think just writing that stuff out sometimes helps you to really digest, like, hey, like, for instance, and when explaining this, I am not like a my problem is I describe it as a rage problem. I'm not an angry guy, I'm a really happy guy, but when
Yeah.
I get angry, it's very 0 to 60. Um, and it's just not healthy because you push a lot of people away when you're like that.
Hmm.
And there's times, my one person I can't believe I have talked to Jared like he is such a big pile of shit, and he's so big, and all he'd have to do is just punch me in the face, and he hasn't done it.
Yeah.
And that kind of patience makes you learn, like, man, I really got to work on me because this is not okay. But I have a great support system, and I've been working on it a lot, so that's a nice thing. Because everybody's got problems, so
Yeah.
it's whatever. Yeah, I'd say Supernova is my favorite, but if you want something just to like listen to and get you sucked into our band, I would probably say Vampire, but our label would say You.
Oh, yeah.
So
Okay. Okay.
that's the song where I really like that song, and I really love playing it and singing it and everything. Um, but that's the one that I think a lot of people that aren't in the band or like the label and stuff, they're like, yeah,
Yeah.
this is the best song. This is great. Because it's like nice and it's
Yeah.
digestible
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
it's a happy song and it's got a cool story to it. But it just doesn't like pull my heart out the way that like when I sing Vampire or sing Supernova, I just want to cry like a little baby. So you know they have different purposes, and
Yeah.
that's necessary in an album. I don't want the whole thing to just be like, oh, everybody's dead, blah. Like I
You do
want
that
it
in
to
Fit for
be,
a King.
yeah. Well, and I guess and it's funny because I guess Vampire's kind of about me too, so that's probably why I like that one as well.
All
Um,
of the
but
songs
it's just
are.
it's a positive idea in a sad format, but it's
Yeah.
just reaffirming yourself. It's sinking your teeth into yourself, like believe in me, like you can do this, and just like sometimes you just need somebody to stick by you and you need somebody to help you and just be reliant, and it's not even like I need you to say anything, I just need you to be there and listen. And that's why there's like such desperation in the bridge area where it's just
Yeah.
I just need you tonight, I've just been missing you, like just you stress me out when you pull away from me, and I just need a little bit of support. And it's nice, it's a love song but not a love song, it's like love yourself song. um,
Yeah. I feel that 1000%. That one is my second favorite. Like I think I just like Carousel Blues just because of that like hit of like especially at the end. But I would say just like sonically, Vampire. I can't tell you. I listened to the record a lot of times. I'll probably just
yeah.
tell you off the rip. I think I listened to it because shout out to Becky, she had sent it over to me. I probably had listened to it because I try to do it. I try to listen to it through a lot when I do the reviews and stuff, just to be thorough. But I think I had listened to this record like 30 or 40 times,
That's
and
amazing.
which is yeah, it's nuts. Which anybody can call me crazy because it is a little crazy, and I'll be honest about that because I'm willing to admit that. But every time, like even after the review is over with, I usually just kind of like bench everything until December comes, and then I re-listen to everything later on. But I went back and listened to Vampire like 20 more times after that because I was just like, my God, like the emotional like value to that song just I don't know, it just spoke to me the most, and I was just like just enamored by that track mostly just because like the melodies, like the way that like the instrumentals kind of just like hit you, and then just
That
like the
one
lyrical
reminds me of
content.
Seosin, like you
Yeah,
said
it does.
before.
Yeah,
Um,
I think
yeah.
that's why, because Sailor is one of my like all time favorites and one of the people that got me into like this type of music. So like I feel like that one resonated with me the most instrumentally as well as like lyrically and just like melody wise. It was just like everything was like 10 out of 10 for me. That's why I dug that one
Yeah.
the most. So
Yeah,
everybody's gonna
thanks,
have a
man.
different one.
Well, that's the thing that I love the most is I've had people that their favorite song is Platinum. I've had people that their favorite song is Swan Dive, and like it goes on. And that's what I like is I don't want to have a record where it's like this is the best song. Everybody only likes this song. Everything
Objectively,
else
yeah.
sucks. I want you to like all of it because they all serve very different purposes. Um, and it's been really cool. it's weird, man. The whole thing's fucking weird. It's weird to sit and talk about your own music like that and not be, and like try to stay objective, because
Yeah.
you either have the mentality of like, everything I do is genius, or oh, my band sucks actually. And I hate when interviews are like that, where I like when an artist is objective and it's just like, yeah, I think the song's good. This one could have been better. Like,
Yeah.
be honest. Like,
You
you
gotta
know
be
what
have
you really
growth.
thought.
It's
Don't be a jerk about it.
I think it's more about like growth. Whenever I see growth in the band, like again, I'm excited to see new material. Obviously, you know, it's gonna be coming, you know, in a relatively decent amount of time, but I am always curious to see what the next step is and like, you know, where the band goes from here. Cause like I felt from the EP to the full length, I was just like miles better, like so much
Dude,
better.
thank you.
And I feel like the growth of that, and I think I even like as I said in the review, I kind of elaborated on like I'm excited to see like future tense what they're gonna be doing, and then look back at this one and be like, you know, there's some really great tracks on this record, but they just like went, you know, 10 out of 10 on this record. So I'm always
Thanks, man.
optimistic, and you know, I feel like there like and I think I even said this in the review too, is like there's a song on there for everybody, and I know that you had mentioned that too as well. I genuinely feel that, and like I can understand why people like you, like the label likes you, because it's definitely more like posy, like more like excited. I mean, it's just like
Yeah.
more like
It's
of a
just for a
happy feeling
different
to
group
it.
of people.
Yeah.
You know, it's the same thing. Even like our Spotify, Fit for a King is not in our top 20 of like, what is it, related artists or whatever. You know, it's for different people. It's
Yeah.
not, you know, I'm not just trying to be like, oh, I'm gonna take the Fit crowd and then I'm gonna just like rehash it and whatever. Like, you know, I want this to be for other people. And it has been so far. It's been really nice. The label is so supportive and kind to me. I don't even freaking get it. Like, I'm a spoiled brat, dude. It's cool. Like, you know, when people are that nice to you and just back you and let you create art, to keep you happy, and they believe in it. You know, they've
Yeah.
only really, you know, Steven from Amberlin, he's got his like side
Yeah.
project. And, you know, obviously Aaron did it years ago.
Yeah.
Um, but it's cool that they let me do that, because then I get to look at it like that, where I'm like, I'm doing like what Aaron Gillespie did. I may not have
Yeah.
that hit like Southern Weather, but it's cool.
I
It's
mean,
humbling,
you're
man.
in
Like,
you're in good company, so
yeah,
I gotta
you
give
know,
you
the
I gotta
little
give you
things.
major props for that. But we're
We're a
gonna
lucky bunch, you
we're
know.
gonna keep it
So
more current, Tuck, which is who have you been jamming recently? What's on the Spotify? What have you been listening to lately? I know you have like features, so if you wanted to talk about that like rap, like that super heavy rap band, like
yeah,
that'd be tight. I would like to know who they are.
okay. There's a band called Gassed Up from the UK. They it's kind of a mirror, kind of rappy, but the rap has he has an amazing voice. The rapper does, and the chorus that he wrote for this song is really, really amazing. The song title is escaping me for a second,
It's okay. I'll look it up. I'm sure
but
it's out there.
it's their latest single. So you if you look up Gassed Up, you can figure that out. I've been listening to a band called Glacier Veins.
Yes.
And I just messaged Becky because I actually want to get their singer on my show, because I haven't had a lady on yet, and I think that record is super underrated and people are not listening to it, and they
I
need
agree.
to. The like I said before, also the new Hollow Front single is very, very good. Ryan manages that band, and I really believe in them. I think they're fantastic. Dayseeker's been stuck in my head for like two
Oh,
months.
my guys.
Um,
Love them.
what else have I been listening to? Really not too much music
More
these days.
podcasts. You gotta do your research, I'm
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah, I mean, I always try to listen to a lot of podcasts, especially like 100 words or less with
Hmm.
Ray Harkins is a big influence. I think that his demeanor, the way that he podcasts, is really incredible. Um, I'm trying to think. I don't want to leave anything like really sick out. Um, it's hard.
It's the products of being an interviewer too. Like you're like I don't
Yeah,
want to leave anything off the table, and then you're like I can edit this in post. Oh wait, I'm being interviewed, so now I can't. So
yeah, you know, and it's difficult because I think that um, it's hard to be a young band these days. There's a lot
Oh
of
yeah.
bands out. There's a lot of competition, especially right now. One thing I've mentioned this on a few podcasts, I've been listening to Static Drifts a lot because that band
Ooh,
is
they're
amazing.
great. Yes, shouts to
Um,
them.
but and that's another band again where the nostalgic feels, holy smokes, they just crushed it. Um, but I think the most underrated record right now is that Glacier Veins record.
Oh, 1000%. I
Yeah.
would
Oh,
totally agree with that. Oh,
oh,
he's got it.
and if you like, okay, if you like the Offroad stuff, or if you don't, or if you liked Third Eye Blind, you need to listen to Super American. They have a
They're
song called
great.
"How
Yeah.
Big Is Your Brain," and that song is my favorite song of the year. It's so good. Like I could jump around my house all day just singing that song.
Well,
Ah,
you got some good moves. I've seen them on stage, so I know.
dude,
I know
thanks,
you got
man.
the
I get
moves.
to dance in the next video.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
in the vampire video, I actually like dance a bit.
There we go. Look at that.
Because I was a theater kid in high school. I was a musical theater nerd.
Ooh,
Um,
wow.
yeah, I wanted to do Broadway and like do that whole thing,
That's nuts.
and it was really hard. So after high school, I was like, no, I'd rather be in a band with friends. But while I was in high school, being an actor has always been a goal. I really love doing it, and I take a lot of pride in doing the videos because it allows me to focus on another aspect of art that I really care about. Um, but sorry, I just burped again. But it's cool because the vampire video is definitely the weirdest thing I've ever done. Um, I like full body paint myself,
What?
and I
Oh
like
man.
dance and I break shit. And the band, it's oh man, it's my like the Leaving Song Part Two AFI video.
Oh,
Um, it's
classic.
so yeah, like that, like 30 Seconds to Mars.
Whew.
Like it's oh man, I'm so excited. I think it's so
I'm
cool. And I
excited.
think other people will like it. There's definitely some people who are going to be like,
What is
dude,
going on?
this is so stupid or you're so weird. Um, because I don't think anyone's ever seen me act before, other than in like the Spiral Gaze video
Yeah,
where
yeah,
I
yeah.
cry because my dad's yelling at me, which luckily did not really happen in my life very much because he loves me and it's very nice. But
Oh,
yeah, but yeah, I haven't gotten to touch into it since I was 18 really, and this was my chance to do that and like fully put together an idea that just kind of came from my heart. Like it sounds corny, but I had these visions and I was just like, this is my place. And I
you got to
knew
do it.
exactly I knew where I wanted to shoot it, and I knew how I wanted to do it, and I knew everything I wanted, and it all really worked out. So I think I'm really excited to put that out. I think people are gonna dig it.
Well, if it's gonna be on the same tier as my personal favorite music video of all time, which you mentioned, 30 Seconds to Mars, is that From Yesterday music video.
Yeah.
That is classic. That is the
I mean,
one.
it's a banger on a budget. I didn't have $1 million to make mine,
Very
but
true. Very true.
but I think it's cool where it's got that kind of passion where I definitely am super inspired by Jared Leto in the sense of he's a full artist. Like
Oh yeah.
he's making his music, and you know that he's like thinking of the videos while he's making the music because he's writing out the story, and it's like a movie in music format.
Yeah, yeah.
And I like to write like that. I think I don't think I do it as good as he does, but I like stories. I like things that I can visualize, and it's not hard for me. I don't think it should be hard for the singer to visual or the listener to visualize
Hmm.
it. If your song is so complex that nobody has no idea what you're saying, what's the point? Like that's kind
True.
of stupid. So it's been a nice pleasure to try to like look at old videos like that and be influenced and really go for it. But,
There we go. Well, when that day comes, which is probably soon,
yeah.
we're gonna have to check it out. But the next question, Tuck, since you've been on the channel and I like to switch things up, if you were to compile a musical supergroup, who'd be in your band?
Woo. Okay. What do I do in the band? Am I in the band?
Yeah, if you want to be. Yeah. It's up to you. I leave that ball in your court.
No, I'm not gonna be in the band. Um,
Interesting
if
choice. I
I,
like it.
yeah, if I put together like my perfect band, um, I would say I'd probably put Dustin Kensrue or Andy Hall on vocals.
Okay, okay.
It's Dustin's from Thrice and Andy is from Manchester Orchestra. I would maybe I'd get. Oh man, this is so hard. My guitar player would probably be I forget his name, the dude from Glassjaw,
Oh, I know.
and
I know who
then
you're talking about.
because
Yeah.
he's the swaggiest guitar player on the planet, and yeah,
Doing the thing.
maybe oh, I'd get Jade Puget from AFI on
Ooh.
like lead guitar, and my bass player would probably be Ed from Thrice.
Okay, okay.
Another person I'd consider in there is Vincent Accardi for lead guitar. You know what? My guitar players would be Vincent Accardi from Brand New, and I would get Jade Puget from AFI.
Ooh, okay.
I would have Dustin sing. I'd have Ed also from Thrice play bass, and I would have, but he would use the bass tone from Glassjaw Worship and Tribute. And then um, my drummer. I'll let Evan say the drummer because he's really good. That's a drummer in Off Road Minivan. But yeah, a real badass drummer who I would put in the band. Who would I put in the band? I don't know. I don't know. I'd let Evan be the drummer because he can say the drummer. I'm having a brain fart on a drummer right now. That's
It's
a tough
okay.
one.
This is a hard
Yeah.
question. This is a very
You
divisive
know,
question.
yeah. Trying to think, man. Maybe like an Aaron Gillespie, but that seems like a too stereotypical of an answer. Like I want someone that's
You can
better
go
than
that
that.
route.
You know what? You know what? I would get Chris Hornbrook from Poison the Well. That's what I would get. That's what I would get. I would
Oof.
get him, or you know
Okay,
what?
okay,
No,
okay.
I changed that one.
Okay, okay.
Tucker Rule from Thursday. Tucker Rule from
Ooh.
Thursday. That's
Ooh.
my boy, the man with the hair.
Oof. All right. That was a great one. That was I feel that. I feel the vibes flowing through that band right now. You
Yeah,
know? Let's
yeah,
make
that'd
it
be a good
happen.
band.
Let's make it happen,
Yeah,
guys.
I'll call them all. I'll make it happen.
We're
It'll
gonna
be
it
cool.
was gonna
I've
happen.
got them all on TikTok. They're all my friends on TikTok.
There we go.
Yeah.
Next question, Tuck. Another fun one. If there was one person you would want to collaborate with to have a guest feature on the next off-road minivan record, who would you want to have on?
Andy Hall.
Andy Hull.
Yeah. I would love to have Andy sing a song on my record. That would probably make my life.
Fair enough.
I
Yeah.
think it would be cool if I like another one that would be like Ben for Armor for Sleep. I think would be really distinct and awesome. Um, but if I ever got the chance to talk to Andy or like write with him or anything, that would be mind blowing for me because he's like a superhero in my head.
Yeah.
Because it's interesting when you tour because I'm still very much a music fan. So there's certain people that I've been around at times or interact with, and I'm just like, well, there's no words. You can't.
Yeah.
You
I
freeze
know.
up, and I would pay to just have a moment with him and like get to understand why he does what he does. Like I know what kind of pickups he likes. I know what kind of stuff he's playing just because I give a shit and I want to
Yeah.
know how he does what he does. Because I think up until a Black Mile to the Surface, I hadn't found a record that really like changed my life in a long
Hmm.
time. My previous like record I was spinning all the time up until that was from Indian Lakes, Everything Feels Better Now,
Oh,
because I've listened to
classic.
that on. My favorite thing was just get done with the day and I'd be on tour and fit. We were in the 15-passenger van still, and I'd sit up in that bunk and my back would hurt and I'd be tired and shot. But then I'd put on that record and I'd close my eyes and I'd just kind of like wiggle in my bed and like, and it just made me so happy. But I didn't want to write like Joey. I didn't want,
Yeah.
because his thing is so its own. But Andy has a way where like Manchester achieving, sound top, I think it was top 20, I think they were number 24 on Billboard for sales, and having the gold all over the radio and drawing, I went and saw them play a 2,400 cap venue in Massachusetts and all this stuff, and I'm like, that's mind blowing to me, and
Yeah.
it seems like all of it is so sincere. And he looks so real to me, and he makes me like, I don't know, I'm just such a fan. It's like he's just so good. It's
There we
perfect.
go.
I can't.
Well,
Yeah, it's a love thing, bro.
it's a
Honestly, I'd
love.
kiss him on the face. Good. Teach me how to grow my beard good.
I don't
Um,
know. You guys are kind of in tandem. If I saw both of you and you're both wearing hats, I feel like wouldn't be able to differentiate.
we
Be
can hang
tough.
out. We can be friends.
You can hang out.
Yeah. Well, the guy that films our music videos is friends with one of the guys in Manchester Orchestra, but he won't show them it or tell them that I'm a huge fan, because I'm always like, yo, dog, like,
What are you
hook me
doing?
up,
Come on,
hook me
man.
the fuck up. Yeah, it doesn't work like that though.
Oh.
But maybe someday. I don't know.
Well, Andy, we're gonna add you on Twitter, so because I feel like that's what all the popular kids do now at this
Won't be
time.
the first time.
It won't be the first time. It won't be the last time. But you
You
should.
know it, man.
You should definitely take. Andy, if you watch if you watch anything in my interview with Tuck right now, you should have just watched just what happened right now, and just
Yeah. I
listen.
love you, dog.
I love you, man. You're my favorite. Yeah, that's
That's a no for me, dog.
Nah,
That's what he'd
seriously,
say.
Andy, do it up. I would
Yeah.
love to hear it. I feel like it would rock my socks off, and I'm not wearing
Yeah.
socks, so I'd put them
Maybe
on,
next time.
and then it
I'll
would
pay
happen.
for it out of pocket.
It's
I'll
okay.
tell the label they don't even have to front for it. I'll pay for it. This is for me, not for you.
This is for me. No, for
Yeah.
But next question, Tuck. Another fun one. What would be one artist that people wouldn't associate you listening to? Like one that it wouldn't even necessarily be a guilty pleasure, but what would be one that people wouldn't be
No
be
guilt
surprised you listen-
involved.
No guilt.
And I know
Nobody.
who.
No shaming.
Yeah, Casey Musgraves, bro.
Really? Wow.
That's my dude. I think that record is the best record. Like, it's one of my favorites right now, for sure. That's one I didn't say that I should have said. I listen to that album all the time. I want to sing like her. I want to be like her. I love her. Like, she's so good. And it's not like a, oh my God, I think she's hot. No, I love Casey Musgraves records. I think she's brilliant. And she's just so such a good influence, and she writes brilliant music, and she sings so great, and I just love her, and I'm all about it. So yeah, that's usually the one where, because Jared, he's always spinning like pop shit, and like whether it's Bieber, the 1975, or Casey in the van and stuff like that. And then he kept putting it on, and I'd be like, bro, what is this? And he'd be like, dude, I told you, like, it's Casey Musgraves. And then after like time 3, yeah, so then I started listening to the record, and I was just like, oh, this is everything that I want out of a pop record, because I really, really like female Americana country. Like Brandi Carlile is one of my favorite singer-songwriters. So it's rare that I find, like Jenny Lewis is a great example of that, Rilo Kiley. I don't find a lot of stuff like that resonates with me in a way where it influences my songwriting, but Casey 100% does, and I think she's brilliant.
There we go. I'd love to hear that. I mean, if I had any say in a collaboration, I feel like I don't know. I'm a sucker for the female-male song collaborations.
Oh yeah,
that would be tight. So Casey, I know you watch my stuff.
We'll
please.
definitely have more female vocals on songs in the future, just because I like it so much. And I love the one that we did on the EP. It was really fun to do. But yeah, it's I'll never write a song with Casey Musgraves. That's for sure. She's hella famous, but I think she's fantastic. Yeah.
Put it out in the universe, man. The positive
People,
vibes, you know.
hey,
Just saying.
anything is possible.
Anything's
right?
possible. So Casey, we're gonna at you on Twitter too. Let's get it.
Absolutely.
But the last thing, the most important thing, Tug, you know, the whole reason you're on here. Tell them about the podcast. No, I'm just kidding. Tell them about Off Road Minivan, where they can find you on social media, and you can talk about the podcast too. This is just Tuck plug moment,
Sure.
and you can talk about everything you're doing.
You know what? We'll stick right to the band. So
you can
right
plug
now,
the podcast. Lastly,
yeah. Okay. If you like podcasts like you like this podcast, go follow Get Tucked Podcast. It's just Get Tucked on Apple or Spotify, and you'll see my big ugly mug there like you do currently, and it's great. So thank you. If you like music podcasts, I think you'll enjoy it. It's a fun show. You can check out Off-Road Minivan with just searching Off-Road Minivan on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. No one else has that handle but us, of course. And it's very easy to find.
Yes.
Just look for the big, beautiful swan, and you'll know you're in the right place. Listen to our new record, Swan Dive. If you're a fan of emo, rock, alternative, whether it's, you know, Blindside to all the grunge stuff going on, or you like the Decemberists, and you like, you know, Death Cab for Cutie, you'll still probably like our band. So go listen to Swan Dive, download it anywhere. If you're interested in merch because you think it's so good, go to Merch Now and pick up a whole bunch of new fresh stuff we put out for the pre-orders. Now they're just listed up there. So yeah, get some stuff for your summer, because now people are going back outside and you want to look good. So this will make you look good and feel good. So yeah, that's about it, man. I would tell more people to listen to Fit for a King, but no, fuck it, don't. I'm just kidding. You can also listen to my other band, Fit for a King, anywhere you listen to music, or just Google it. And that's all the stuff I got. But yeah, Swan Dive, Off-Road Minivan. Go support it, because we're a small band and it would mean a lot. So yeah, do it.
There you go. Do it. I do have one last thing to ask you, Tug. How did I don't know if you've answered this question. Is like, why did you name it Off-Road Minivan? I don't know if there's any more behind it, but
yeah, there's two things. So the way that the name was birthed, was I'm on the throughway in New York, heading upstate, and we're stuck in standstill traffic, and all of a sudden a minivan just rips through the grass median, and up onto the other side. And my partner Danielle just goes, "Oh my God, look, it's an off-road minivan." And it just, eureka moment. I was like, "That's it, you did it. That's the band name. Like, that's brilliant." And she was like, "What?" And I'm like, "Yeah, that's my Jimmy Eat World. Like, that's it." And it really fits to the context of the songs, because as I continued to develop it and write the record, they all kind of play into each other, where the premise is, when you grow up in a small town like I did, where there's only one stoplight and you know everybody, the only real things that you remember are major moments like, hey, you remember when Bill Bob went and flipped his car on Fish Road and passed away back in '96? And that is the off-road minivan. The off-road minivan is a flipped van with people inside and they're dead. It's that story I don't want to say it's like a metaphor, but it exemplifies everything that I'm trying to sing about in these songs. I'm like, eventually I'm going to run out of stories from my small area, for sure, and I'll sing about other things. But that's my whole premise, is to try to shine light on kind of like small forgotten characters. Yeah. Because a lot of these people or songs are things that you wouldn't think about. And off that mindset, if you want to look into it more. So you know the song Taconic? That's a real story. And if you go on Amazon and you look up, there's something wrong with Aunt Diane, watch that, and you'll understand what I'm singing about. Now, in that song, I use it as a cute metaphor, because a lot of the people where I grew up they just want to get out of their small town and make it in the big city, right?
Yeah.
And then a lot of the people in the city, they come up to where I live on the weekends because it's so quaint and cute. So everybody's going the wrong way on the Taconic. They don't know actually where they want to belong. And that's the metaphor. But the truth is there's a woman that went the wrong way on the Taconic in a minivan full of kids and killed everybody.
Oh my God. That is nuts.
Yeah. So a lot of people think that the name, it's funny because I've had people literally commented, hey, I was looking up a lift kit for my minivan on YouTube and I found your band. And I think that that's hilarious. But it is like kind of tragic in comedy. It's almost Shakespearean in that way. Not to say like I'm comparing my art to Shakespeare, you know, but it is tragedy and comedy enrolled into one, where we focus on tragic situations and bring light to them through my art. And it is one of those things I was curious, where I was wondering if anyone was going to get mad at me for that song, but I also don't give a shit.
So there you go.
Doesn't really matter. But yeah, so that is the Off-Road Minivan, and that, like, yeah, I'm not trying to be like super twisted or whatever. It's just, that's the stuff I like to write about. I don't really, you know, everybody likes to write about war and current events and Trump and blah. Boring. I don't like it. I don't want to hear the same story over and over and over again. I want to write about, you know, Jamie, you know, or Darla, or like, you know, there's a lot of characters in this. I could put a freaking TV show together with this album. But yeah, that's it. It's kind of sadder than it is like fun. Every time I talk about it, I'm like, oh man, like that's kind of sad. But then I like it though. That's the kind of stuff that I like. And if you do anything, you know, artistically, you know, I think it's best if you kind of do it for yourself.
Yeah. And
the band name is silly. Like, I know we almost changed it before the record because I'm scared of, like, I'm tired of people putting off the band because of the name.
Yeah, sure.
Where they didn't understand the name because the story wasn't told yet. Where now, if you listen to the album, you get it. You kind of get it, you know?
Yeah.
You know, and I think after more people hear me discuss what it's about, you know, they see it ties it all together, where it's not just, oh, that's a stupid band name. They're like, oh, that's kind of like smart. Like, that's really cool. And I like that as well because it's, you know, it's painting something that's dull, beautiful. You have to have broad strokes when you're thinking about art. And, you know, you can have a million interpretations for, you know, a black smudge on the wall, but, you know, that the person that made it has a particular meaning for it. So I'm glad a lot of people will kind of interpret it for themselves along the way. Mm-hmm. But it is really fun to talk about because no one ever expects it. So when you're like, yeah, the band is flipped and everybody's dead, you're like, oh, wow, like, that's kind of creepy, dude. But that's what I wanted to write about.
There we go. Well, I only asked because I am such a like band nerd, like lore type of person. That's like why I ask these questions, because I'm very curious on my own front, but also hopefully to give more context to other people that check out this record. Check out Swan Dive. You'll get all the context clues in this interview, but then when you go to listen to the record, it's all gonna make sense. I'm just saying that. I know, because I've listened to it 50 plus times. So I feel like if there's any person to kind of tell you what's to feel about it, I feel like it should be me, or maybe somebody else that's listened to it many more times. But
no, dude, you smashed your breakdown, man. It was awesome. So
thank you.
I appreciate it.
Thank you. But go check out Tuck. Go check out Off-Road Minivan. All of the links will be below to go follow them on social media. Go check out Tuck's podcast, Get Tucked. I will give it the cosign. It is fantastic. Tuck does a great job of interviewing all of these bands that I love. So I'm excited to always see who he has on as a guest next. So go make sure to go follow the podcast because that's also really good too. If you enjoyed this interview, share, like, and subscribe. It goes an absolute ton and it's always appreciated. And make sure to go tweet at Casey Musgraves and Andy Hall. Maybe they'll both be featured on the same song. Who knows? That would be dope. I feel like Tuck would explode out of pure excitement, but
Yes.
it would be a come full circle for me. So if you can make that happen, that'd be greatly appreciated. And thank you massively to Tuck for coming on tonight.
It was a pleasure, Brandon. Thank you for talking with me and having me on your show. It was awesome. And thanks again for doing that previous breakdown of the songs. And it means a lot, man. All this stuff really helps in a time that's so hard where people are stuck at home. A lot of us lost work and some stuff that was going to really make my year. And I think the greatest blessing has been actually being home for the release because I was supposed to be on tour the whole time. And now I got to actually, like, enjoy it and watch and look at every, like, dude, I looked at the plays all day, live streamed on Spotify, like, counting every moment, like, sending updates to you guys. We're up another 1,000. We're up another 1,000. You know, this stuff gives me life and it makes me feel happy. And I appreciate that you gave me time to speak about my project. So
as always, you know, we gotta support the fam out here. So go check out Swan Dive. Definitely amongst my favorites of this year so far. And we still got a lot of year to come, but I feel like it will still hold its rank amongst my favorites. So go check it out. And go check out my lengthy review if you really want me to go deep dive into each song. So go check it out. And again, thanks, Tuck, for coming on, man.
of course, anytime, man. You have a good night, all right, brother?